Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
It's Waffle Box time.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not. It's
Gets
gross.
the people going.
You know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this?
My crotch is itchy.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. Now don't call me Shirley.
What would you do if you had $1 million?
2 chicks at the same time, man.
Just thank the Lord she didn't live to see her son as a mermaid.
You killed a hooker!
Call girl!
No,
she was
Cyril, when they're dead, they're just hookers.
This time we are sure she's a woman, right?
Why do you want to listen to the TV with the stereo on?
Because I like to party.
Let's do this!
Ooh, welcome to Waffle Box, the podcast where we talk about anything, everything, and nothing, all at the same time. Coming up on episode 21, we're talking the Last Duel, a new form of male contraception, and a record-breaking pub crawl, and more. I am Mike Fish, sporting the lovely Waffle Box merchandise, and I'm joined, as always, by the man who's sipping out of the lovely Waffle Box merchandise. It's Mr. Kush Hayes. Kush, how you doing, buddy?
What's good, y'all? Mike, my man, how are you doing this week?
I am bearing up under the pressure of the ridiculously dropping temperatures here in the Northeast, where it's not Arctic weather yet. You know, not getting the snow shovels out, but it's dipped from like 80 degrees down to like 52 right now. It's an instant shock to my system. Yeah, I'm like, I actually put my winter coat on today when I went out for a cigarette. The first time in quite a while.
Okay, right on, man. Yeah.
How are you? How are you bearing up in
supposed to be in what's
California?
Where's well, here in San Francisco, we're supposed to be having our extended summer right now, so it should be the hottest time of the year, and it's actually just kind of mellow. In fact, yesterday was the coldest it was all week, to the point where like, ooh, I might want to swap in these shorts for some pants, and then you just power through anyways. But other than that, the good folks of San Francisco are mourning a dreadful loss to the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are now in the National League Championship Series with the Atlanta Braves. And well, baseball is over for Kush Hayes as far as he's concerned. But he does look forward to seeing the Dodgers lose.
If I've learned anything from this year, it's never put any hope.
Don't count them out.
Don't put any hope onto any sports team named the Giants.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
They'll let you down. They'll let you down eventually.
It happens. I didn't get my hopes up, but like it was a damn fine year, man. We were in first place within the entire Major League Baseball, not just the National League. And obviously we aren't in the American League, but we had the best record. And every now and then the Dodgers would just irritate us enough to knock us into second or tie up with us. But we would always come back, and ultimately they got our number in Game 5. So,
Motherfuckers,
indeed.
Just gonna quickly twist myself there. Oh,
no worries, man.
There we go. I'm more central now for those wonderful viewers watching us. If you're listening,
there you go, man.
Haven't moved at all. So yeah. This week, we've got some fun things to talk about. Obviously, I sent you some of these things over. Let's start off with numero uno. Oh, actually, let's just do the plugs.
Or we can start with number 2.
We'll get into the plugs. Obviously, also make sure, because I know we do it at the end, but let's do it at the beginning. If you do want to make sure you're following us, make sure you follow us at Wafflebox Pod on all the social media networks. If you want to get some of this nice swag, go to wafflemerch.com. For all the links, go to enjoywafflebox.com.
It is fantastic swag, folks.
Oh, look at that. You can drink out of them. It's everything. You can wear them, keep you warm, or you can drink out of them. And you put hot drinks in that, keep you warm for the winter as well. Or, as I've been doing, is just drinking beer out of them. And so less people judge you for daytime drinking because they think you're drinking coffee.
Whatever works. It's only stupid if it doesn't work, right?
Oh, and also before we move on, shout out to my good friends over at Montclair Brewery. I'm drinking their Claremont Pilsner this evening. They celebrated their 3rd anniversary over the weekend, so I went over there and celebrated with them by drinking their beer. It's lovely beer, lovely place, lovely space. If you're ever in the New Jersey area, check them out. Montclair Brewery. Shout out to them. Free plug. Put your money away. Yes. So first, let's talk. Speaking of beer, speaking of pubs, there was a British
controversial.
Man. Yeah, very controversial. British man who decided he wanted to break the world record for most pubs visited in 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Issue being that there was no such record to break.
Yeah. So this is two interesting tidbits. Already one, he a goal came to him in mind. Like who knows where he was? He's probably in a pub when he thought of it, to be honest. But greatness came to this man in a vision, inspiration, achievement. Like, I need to visit every bar that I can, and I need to do it in under 24 hours. And I think that's already a challenge because, well, Mike, you're the resident UK expert here. What time is last call in the United Kingdom?
Depending on where you are and what day it is, it's pretty much standard for pubs to be last call around like 11 o'clock midnight.
Ooh.
It's pretty early. It's pretty sad.
That's pretty early, son.
Yeah.
Here in San Francisco, it's 2 a.m.
Pew, pew, pew.
2 a.m. out here in San Francisco, regardless of what day it is, except on daylight savings. Regardless if we're going an hour forward or an hour backward, cutoff on that day exclusively is 1 a.m.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. You can't have the bar stay open the extra hour, and at some point, that last call will sneak up on you the other way around.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah. Otherwise, Vegas is open 24 hours. New York, I know, goes to 4 a.m. What about New Jersey?
I don't know. I'm 36. I don't stay out past midnight anyway. So they could be open till 4 a.m. for all I know. I have no idea.
Okay.
As long as I'm drunk, I'm happy. I don't care what time it is.
Well, I wonder what time this guy started. What time does the pubs open in the UK? Again, out here is 6 a.m.
Yeah, I think my local where I grew up opened up around like 10 in the morning.
Fascinating. So this guy's goal is to not only break but create a record for X number of visits in 24 hours when those bars are closed at least half the day. This is already an interesting challenge.
It is, right? So I have a little issue here with the Guinness Book of World Records or Guinness World or whatever. So this guy's name's Matt Ellis of St. Neots, Cambridgeshire. Said Guinness officials told him there is currently no world record for most pubs visited in 24 hours by an individual. So the record-keeping agency set the goal to originate the record at 50. So they just made up a record. So this guy, no one has ever done this before. So if this guy, who was the first person to attempt it, only visited 49 pubs, they would have went, sorry, pal, shit out of luck. You haven't done anything.
That's the agony of defeat.
So I don't know where they got that number from. And I think, people talk about, we want to curb binge drinking and try to stop people from getting alcoholics. Then Guinness World Records, maybe you shouldn't have set the bar so high. You're just encouraging him. If anything, let's shout these guys out.
It is the Guinness Corporation. So.
It's Guinness World Records. I mean, they're encouraging people to drink. But yeah, so he visited 51 pubs in 8 hours, 52 minutes, 37 seconds, walking 15 kilometers or around 20,000 steps.
Wow, 15 kilometers? That doesn't seem like a lot.
No. So obviously Cambridgeshire is the place to be because there's a lot of pubs nearby.
Right.
Nice
college town, right?
Yeah, sure. Cambridge University sounds about right. What I love this fact is so evidence from his pub crawl had to be submitted to the Guinness World Records for official certification. And those that includes like he had to go and get a photo with his drink with the bar, like the bar staff for every pub. Should be fun.
Mm-hmm. But it wasn't even a full drink, right?
No, so this is controversial because in order to attain the record, he visited 51 pubs and have a 125 milliliter drink in each, photographed for verification by pub staff members. So what if we do the math here, right? So at the very least,
I believe it worked out to 4 ounces, like just over 4 ounces.
So it's 6,375 milliliters. Now, milliliters to pints, which all good Englishmen drink, 6,375. This is great audio content. It's like 13 pints.
Really?
I mean, 13 pints in 9 hours. It's not that impressive, pal.
You know, I agree with you 100%. That's, I mean, first off, no one should probably drink that much, period. But yeah, that's not a challenge, dude. Like,
but it's going to get even more controversial, my friend.
Oh shit! All right,
because
hold on.
And this is a quote from Mr. Matt Ellis, who said, "This was an extreme pub crawl, fueled mostly by soft drinks."
Like soda?
So
soda
basically,
pop?
he was drinking, soda, Coke, lemonade, whatever you want.
Oh shit! Real? So he wasn't even drinking beer?
He was hard. So he said mostly, but so I imagine he had like maybe a couple drinks, but other than that, he was just drinking orange juice.
Because
what the hell?
The record isn't how many drinks in 24 hours. It's how many pub visits you make, and you order tea, water. Very sneaky. Very sneaky.
It is very sneaky.
Yeah,
I'd feel offended if I was like a pub owner who was being used as part of this world record, and here he comes coming in. Hey, he's the 36th pub I visited today. What'll it be, my friend? I'll have an orange juice, please. That's.
I walked into an Irish pub in San Francisco one time. It was like, midnight. It was winter. I'd been out flying all night. My hands were cold. I just wanted something warm to hold on to. I didn't even want alcohol. And I was like, coffee. And they're like, we don't have coffee. Like, tea? And then they laughed at me. And I was like, fine, give me a fucking beer. All right. Like, just.
Although I'm sure if you'd actually asked, I just want something to keep my hands warm, they would have pointed you to.
I did.
Pointed to a young lady in the corner. Sure, she would have been happy to help. Old
outstanding
Sandra. Sandra loves a bit of strange. That's what I've heard. Anyway, word on the street. So basically, so what he did. So
more about Sandra.
The reason he did this was apparently he wanted to help other people appreciate the range of pubs that are available, the drinks, the food, the different entertainment that they offer, and maybe try out a few of the venues as a result, which would be nice if he listed the venues, but none of that is listed. So I have no idea which venues he went to. So it's kind of a waste of time. He apparently is already planning his next challenge, the Around the World pub crawl, which hitting 12 countries in 2 weeks, exploring some of the quirkiest and best drinking spots on the planet as they travel more than 26,000 miles from London via Kiev, Moscow, Singapore, Auckland, and Hawaii. Sounds lovely, but 12 countries in 2 weeks, that's basically, let's just say one a day. It's not a pub crawl. We'll have a drink here and then we'll go somewhere else tomorrow. That's just
a European
2 weeks.
Excursion.
That's just 2 weeks of drinking.
It's a holiday.
So, yeah, it's all right.
I think, now that you've entered that evidence into the testimony, Mike, I submit that this was actually just a plan to get a 2 week vacation sponsored You're like, hey, I'm the Guinness World Record holder. I did 51 bars in 9 hours. I'm doing it now around the world. Give me money, and I'm gonna take a little photograph with your logo and all that bullshit.
As I have drink the finest soft drinks around the world.
I'm gonna stay in your hotel. I'm gonna fly on your plane or your train or whatever. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think this guy had an ulterior motive, and maybe I respect that.
Maybe you respect.
I hope we get an update on that
for a different reason that you thought you was going to respect him. But yeah,
if there's a plan behind it, yes.
Sham of a man, Matt Ellis, your world record.
Yeah.
Shame on you. That's all I say. I once did. It's called. Why I used to call this? So there's a train service that goes from my hometown to London. It's called the C2C.
Okay.
And so I did a pub crawl there once where it was like, so I'd get off at every stop and have a beer in the nearest pub, and then get back on the train, next stop, go to a bar, have a drink. And I did it properly. I did a pint of alcohol in every one. But what I did wrong, what I should have done, was started in London and worked my way home.
Home, yes.
Because what I found was that obviously I was at my most drunk, which I was also furthest away from home. So then I had to work my way back home again.
That's part of the adventure, man.
It wasn't.
You're like the UK version of the Warriors now. Like, can Mike Fish get home? Like, Mike Fish, come out and play. Somehow, someone's pinned a gang murder on you. Like, yeah, man. Sounds like the makings of a crazy night.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
I don't believe you. But okay.
Speaking of fun, let's move on. What's more fun than male contraception? Interesting segue.
Male non-contraceptive.
So
I don't know.
I don't know where this. So I was just perusing. So that website that I sent you that has the quirky news. Most of the time, it's just. This guy
Guinness
won the lottery,
and someone won the lottery.
Well, so, but every now and again, they hit on a gem. Because I saw this headline.
Break it down.
Testicle bath, which is always a good way to start your article. Testicle bath birth control device earns Germany's Dyson prize. So.
For the a testicle buff or testicle bath?
Bath. B-A-T.
Bath. All right.
Bath.
So this, in other words, all you kids who play the Fortnite and the Call of Duty, this is you're teabagging this little device. And then, Mike, what does that device do when the kids teabag it now?
Well, so yes, the woman who invented this, which I mean, hey, we're all about equality here. We're all about equality here. However, I'm just saying, like, if this is like this new magic female contraception was designed by Dave, I'm pretty sure most women would be like, let's hold off, Dave. What are you up to? But yeah, Rebecca Weiss, an industrial design graduate from the University of Munich, an inventor of COSO, C-O-S-O, male birth control device, was named Germany's winner of the James Dyson Award, which celebrates and encourages and inspires designers of new problem-solving ideas. So, basically, this thing uses ultrasound to temporarily stop the sperm mobility. So, and you only have to apparently use it every couple of months, and you'll be good to go. Now, here's how it works. So I went on the actual official website of the award and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So yeah, so basically, okay, so if you haven't seen it before, there is a little picture of it in our thumbnail for this week's episode. It looks like the best way I can describe what this contraceptive device looks like is, like what is that? The VR goggles from the Facebook, is it Oculus?
Oculus, yes.
Oculus. So yeah, it looks like someone's taken a pair of Oculus goggles, or whatever they're called, turned them sideways, and as Kush described, you're just supposed to teabag them, basically. Stick your gentleman in there, right? So how it works, and this is the official how-to guide. The user puts water into the device up to the indicated mark, which is set together with a doctor according to the individual testicle size. So I'm assuming you got smaller boys need less water usage, which is good for the environment. Then the water is heated up to the operating temperature.
This doesn't sound good.
The user spreads his legs and sits down to place the testicles in the device. The ultrasound process continues for a few minutes. The remaining time can be monitored in real time via the app. So you can monitor this on your app on your phone. This is nice. After the treatment, the device switches off automatically. The technology of the COSO is based on a study of the Parson's Foundation from 2012, in which successful research was conducted on ultrasound contraception. So far, the procedure has been applied to animals. Therefore, the technical parameters are hypothetically transferred to humans. Whoa.
Yeah, they still haven't tested it.
You've tested this on it. So hypothetically it works. Yeah, sure.
Tested on little squirrels and some goldfish and then maybe a monkey or two, but we haven't worked our way up to man yet.
Yeah, fine. Just stick your bollocks in there. It's fine. Nothing. What's the worst could happen? So
you only need to use it once. Maybe that's the best thing. I don't know. Now, what country developed this?
Oh, it's Germany. Of course, it's Germany. They're always...
Leave it up to the Germans to find an efficient sterilization program.
Controversial, but yeah. That's so okay. So the inspiration. So basically, she was unfortunately diagnosed with precursor cervical cancer, which had been tied to oral contraception pills. So they're basically her and her boyfriend, husband, fiance, I don't know, were looking for obviously alternate ways to stop them from ruining their lives and bringing a child into the world. So, so she decided to, create a bird bath for the bollocks that were going to fry them, ultrasound wise. And so I don't know who did the testing. So I don't know whether when she created this initially, she went to the backyard and started catching these wild animals and dunking their units in their bath. And then what? Waited for them to have sex and see if they got I don't know. It's all very strange. Like,
because
she must have done the testing herself. Because this seems like it's like a.
I'm sure she has a little staff with her too, but controversial, experimental.
Because this seems unstable. Like a what's the word I'm trying? An amateur contest. Because her prize was only $45,000.
And that's going to fund further research and further study and blah 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 blah.
And also, at no point does it actually say, because it says therefore the technical parameters are hypothetically transferred to humans. So her partner's obviously been like, "No, fuck that! I'm not trying that. Try it on the dog. I'm not.
Try it on the dog.
Poor Poochie.
Try it on the dog, please. Oof. So I know there's a way they can count whether or not there's any swimmers in there, but otherwise, yeah, I don't know who's the guinea pig in that one.
Well, according to
you'd think it's probably the boyfriend.
Imagine a guinea pig, you could use a really small one.
Well, I said squirrels earlier, so
Don't they have big nuts? See what I did there?
I saw that. That was good. Those were
So would maybe here's my theory. You know, as I always do, I like to have a theory behind what's the method behind this madness. Maybe, just maybe, Rachel Weisz, the inventor of the testicle bath.
Her name is Rachel Weisz?
Rachel Weisz.
That's the chick from The Mummy.
What, the actual actor's name or the character?
Actress. Rachel Weisz. That's the chick from The Mummy. She's the mom in Black Widow. You know, she's Rachel Weisz.
Oh,
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't actually look up the photo, so maybe it was her. Maybe getting a bit of money on the side, cash in hand, lovely jubbly. But yeah, but my theory is that maybe she's like an executive higher up person at a company that manufactures condoms. And so they're kind of like, hey, do you want to wear a condom? No, I don't want to wear a condom because I don't know how it makes me feel. All right, well, stick your testicles in this bath. It's going to electrocute them, basically. Actually, no, give me that condom. So it's going to basically make people use condoms more rather than, stick it in the bath that I've tested it on wildlife. I'm sure it's fine.
Interesting.
That's my theory.
It's an interesting theory. I think it feels like a lot of extra effort just to get people to buy condoms. I mean,
Can you think of a better way?
I can't. No, I don't. I got nothing. So
once again, Mike Fish comes up with the smart shit.
It's definitely something to give you pause for thought. Absolutely.
I know I'm not sticking my left and right best friends into this ultrasound bath thing. Although maybe just the bath sounds nice, warming up a little bit. Might be nice on a winter's day.
Well, you've got regular cups and dishes for that here at home. So
just get the egg cups out the cupboard, put the kettle on.
There you go. Get the butter dish or the gravy boat. The wife will love that.
Hover over the gravy boat. What are you doing? Just warming up my testicles.
Aye.
What's for dinner? Speaking of meat and two veg.
Spicy.
Oh dear. But yeah, good for her. Congratulations, Rachel Weisz, star of The Mummy, and I don't even know, sir, but I'm going to go with it. Star of The Mummy and Black Widow, and inventor of the Koso testicle bath.
Her talent is acting, but her passion has always been sterilizing men.
You got to have a dream. Got to have a hobby. Good for her.
Yeah.
Moving on. Let's talk about our good friends over at Disney. Because, as you were saying off air, apparently something's going on over there. I don't know if that's a song, but I just made it up. Yeah, pretty much all their movies that were going to come out next year, nope, we're going to push them back. What's the hypes? What's the scoops? Kush, give us the scoops.
So there's no real details as to the why, but it is thought that possibly with the brand new union contract for production, IATSE, they
yes, you want to look it up?
They just went through a huge negotiations thing over the last couple of months. It's been in all the trades and etc. And as of 2 days ago, Monday, October 18th, they were almost going to go on strike, and that was going to shut down everything. Movies currently in production, movies that haven't started shooting yet, movies that are shooting, movies that are just putting in little CGI bullshit. This is also affects TV shows. I don't know how it would have affected live sporting events like your Golden State Warriors or your Manchester such and so's, but this was a serious deal. But the powers that be were able to connect. They agreed on a contract. Some people are happy about it. Some folks are not. But the main things that were going on were, I haven't worked on many movie sets. In fact, next to none. But when I work even like a live convention, forget about just working the Giants game the other day. Like, if you're lucky, it's a 10-hour day. And if you do under 10 hours, it's the best day in the world. But most of the times, especially on like game day, you're looking at like a 16, 17-hour day. And that's without tearing everything down that you just installed. They're very long days. You can get used to them, but there's this whole thing about turnaround. You're supposed to get like, 8 hours off in between shifts. And I've worked events where I got off at 1 a.m. and then had to be right back there at 6 a.m. And that's including travel time to and from home. Like, usually for me, depending where I am, it's almost never in San Francisco. It's usually about an hour plus to get home. And again, man, it's enough time to take a shower, no time to eat. You got to take a quick nap, because that's ultimately what it is. And then the alarm buzzes, you're very groggy, you're a little confused, you just get your clothes on and you go back to location and do it all over again. And enough days of that in a row will burn a person out to the point where there's actually been deaths on and off sets because of it. So, having said all that, Disney has now put all of their ducks in a row, and they've, again, some movies have only been pushed back a couple weeks. Some have been pushed back whole months. The biggest thing that garnered your attention on this one, Mike, is Indiana Jones 5, which doesn't even have a title yet. That's been pushed back a full year, another full year, to where it was due to come out summer 2022, and now it'll be 11 months later, still summer, but 2023.
So is this because before, when they were like, okay, we're going to start production here, so by working 12 to 16 hour days, we should have it finished by these. Is this now, do you think they're now working, okay, well, now we have to be nice, so let's work it 8-hour days, so it's going to take a little bit longer to make the film?
Exactly. The movies are going to take a little bit longer. And again, when you go over X number of hours, again, I'm the best day of my life, production-wise. I literally showed up on set. I hung a TV up. I plugged it in. And then the folks that hired me were just like, come back in 8 hours. Otherwise, you're on your own. And I went, great. I went to go see a movie. I took a nap. I got the van washed. I just had the greatest day. Came back, unplugged the TV, picked it back up, took it to the warehouse. All in all, it was maybe 45 minutes of work, but I got paid a full rate for it. Okay.
Happy days.
Should we go over that hour, though? Then we get into overtime and all that. But again, man, we're talking about like your average regular day is 10 hours. I'm not interested in overtime. And no matter what, after 13 hours, I get cranky and I'm not fun to work with.
I imagine.
But who would be after 13 hours of labor? I doubt you would. So anyways, Eternals is still coming out in 2 weeks. And then whatever Pixar project for the holidays, again, everything in 2021 still on track, but we won't get our next Marvel movie till May. I think that's Doctor Strange 2. That was going to come out in March. Now it's coming out in May. So what? We're still getting it, but we gotta just wait a little bit longer for this stuff. That's all there is to it.
Well, at least the world is changing for a better place.
Ultimately, what's going to happen is just
people gonna get paid less.
Crews are still gonna. No, you're going to get paid more, but days are still going to be just as long, and overtime will be just a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know how they're going to do that. It's just at the end of the day, everyone just wants to get the project done, and folks will make that sacrifice even without being asked.
Yeah, I think it's just going to ultimately end up. The budgets for the movies are going to slightly increase because the people,
extra days.
The people are just going to be like, "Hey, I don't want to work 12-hour days. I only want to work 8-hour days." And then they'll be like, "Okay, you now work 8-hour days." And then they're going to be like, "Wait, but now, so if we work 12-hour days, I get 4 hours overtime. Hey, let's work 12-hour days." Like, so I think it's going to swing one way, and then eventually, it's just going to be movies are going to be slightly more expensive because they're going to be paying overtime rather than regular time. But the films is still good. Production time is still going to be the same. You're still going to have the long days. It's just going to be.
You're still going to have those folks who do have family, who have kids that are expecting mom to be home on time, and instead someone with a clip where like, "Well, we're giving you overtime. Okay, you're going to get double and a half. Okay."
I'll take that.
That's ultimately what's going to happen. It sounds great on paper, but then you just get burnt out the next day.
I mean, I'm sure I've heard the love of a child is fantastic, but 2.5 times overtime, it's pretty sweet. We can make up some time. Just film the walk-in. Just film their first steps. Whatever. I'm getting paid here. I'm getting paid some big money here. Jeez. Now stick your testicles in this bath so we don't have another one. Mama wants to make money. Segue. I went back to a previous.
It's a callback.
But yes, good for them. Good for unions. Good for whatever.
And this contract is for 3 years, so it'll get renegotiated. The big thing was productions just. Days are just too long, but then streaming services weren't so much a thing in 2009 when the last contract was renewed. And so there was Netflix and your Amazon Prime and your Disney Plus. They're getting a lot. They were flexing real hard some rules that would have been broken on other sets. And now, in theory, that'll all be changed for the best. So.
Good for them. Speaking of movies, films, all that good stuff.
Films. Kino.
So there was Matt Damon and Ben Affleck teamed up again because they're still best friends. And then also what's his name? What was his name? What was Darth Vader's son? No, Darth Vader's Wait, Darth Vader's grandson. Was it grandson? Was he his grandson?
Adam Driver. It was his grandson.
His grandson, and then woman from Killing Eve, the BBC show. I think she was.
Her name is Jodie Comer. I'm not familiar with her before this movie, but Jodie Comer.
Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Anyway, yes, that was all my weird way to introduce our segment on The Last Duel, which came out recently.
Came out this weekend. Last Duel.
Theaters.
Directed by Ridley Scott, one of the masters.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Speaker. Sorry. Before we go, because I watched the over the weekend. Have you seen the Movies That Made Us series on Netflix?
I have. Yeah, I was watching that. It's a lot of empty calories. It's entertaining. It's nice to have on in the background. It is.
But every now and again, it will just give you this tiny little nugget of like, oh, that's actually very interesting. With I was watching the episode on Sunday of Nightmare on Elm Street. Where basically the Nightmare on Elm Street stuff was interesting, but I found the most interesting where it's basically telling you how New Line Cinema became a thing.
Yeah, it's a good story.
It's a good story where it's just basically one guy chancing his luck and being like, "Yay, I can produce this movie. What do you need? $1 million? Boom! Fuck! Now I need to find $1 million." And he was like trying to and because based on the success of Nightmare on Elm Street, New Line Cinema became a thing, and so many other things became a thing, like Notebook and all that good stuff. A lot of people like Notebook, apparently. Without Freddie Krueger, Notebook would not have been a thing. So thank you, Freddy Krueger. Fun little fact. But yeah, sorry. Yeah, I don't mean to go off. But yeah, if you got Netflix, and if you haven't got Netflix, why haven't you got Netflix? Check out the movies that made us. Nightmare on Elm Street episode. Fascinating.
Anyway. And if you like really, really long documentaries, there is a 4.5-hour documentary on the Nightmare on Elm Street series. It covers all the movies up until the remake, and just shows like, yeah, there's a remake coming out in a couple of weeks, and that's why we ultimately made this documentary. But then they don't go into anything about it. However, again, yeah, New Line Cinema. They were originally just distributing school films. And biblical films, and they somehow got their hands on Reefer Madness, and that was their thing. You just drive around town. Hey, you want to rent one of my film reels? Hey, thank you very much. And that was the extent of it. And then they tried to make a movie, and that was.
Yeah, what was the guy's name? What was his name?
Bob Shea.
Bob Shea. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So New Line Cinema was originally a distribution company, and their distribution was literally him driving around. Hey, you want to buy a movie? That was it.
Yeah, man.
And now it's one of the biggest companies in movies.
It's part of Warner Brothers now. It became big enough that Warner Brothers gobbled it up.
And I'm sure Bob Shea,
that's the American dream,
got paid for that. Anyway, so yes, sidetrack. Last Duel.
Last Duel.
So
Ridley Scott.
So this is based off of a ye olde battle.
This is based on a true story that happened in the 14th century France, and we're talking maybe 15 to 20 years before the Crusades. That's the time period we got. It's literally the late 14th century, 1370 something or other, and they go all over time. Again, just covering 15, 20 years. Anyways, it's a story of two friends, Adam Driver and Matt Damon. They're the best of friends, best of comrades, but one of them's got a little bit more swagger and has got maybe a little better haircut, and maybe he's a little bit better with the ladies, and maybe just a little bit more fun at parties. Meanwhile, all Matt Damon does is win, but he's just so fucking intense and kind of a bummer, and usually won't just go with the flow. And so he ultimately makes more trouble for himself than he needs to, and their friendship ultimately gets split up because Count Ben Affleck likes hanging out with Adam Driver more. Things get a little hairy. It's this film is told in 3 parts. It's just under 2.5 hours long, and ultimately we find out about Matt Damon's character, and that's an hour long. But you get the gist of his story, and yeah, you kind of do.
I'll let you off.
And then we get to see the next chapter's Adam Driver's story, and we see most of the stuff we saw in the first part, but from a different point of view. And some things are inflected a little bit differently, and tones are blah 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 blah. And then we get Jodie Comer's point of view, and hers is the worst. Like it's the most uncomfortable. And ultimately, Jodie Comer ends up marrying Matt Damon, and then one thing leads to another. And one day, while he's out of town, Adam Driver just comes over and basically just rapes his wife. And that's what this is ultimately about. And we get into like a lot of really hairy details. Again, Adam Driver's like, this is my thing. I chase her around the table. She says no, but she means yes, yes, yes. And I stick it in her, and a minute later I'm done. Yeah, and I'm just like, hey, don't tell your husband about this because he's gonna kill you. don't tell him about our love, baby. Like, that was great.
Century men. You bastards.
I look forward to seeing you again, but I must go away now.
I need a nap.
Yeah. Meanwhile, she's just like, what the fuck? Her story is way more awkward, way more uncomfortable. The whole experience lasts much longer, and it's to the point where like Jodie Comer is literally like snot is dripping out of her nose because the tears are just flowing that hard. Like she's being raped. There's no two bones about it, and it's made to be uncomfortable, and it's part of the story. And then ultimately, she does tell her husband Matt Damon, and at first he's like, "I don't believe you," and she's like,
"My boy,
I'm your wife. Why wouldn't you believe me?" He's like, "All right, well, I believe you." And then it gets into this whole thing where his story, he's like, he tries to be all chivalrous. And he's like, no one's going to rape my wife and get away with that. I'll take us all the way up to the king. And ultimately they do. But again, it's a lot of he said versus she said. And it's very well told. Some folks aren't digging that format. I understand why. Maybe this film could have only been 2 hours as opposed to under 2:30. But it's really well done. The war scenes are fantastic. The duel itself is fantastic. It gets to the point where you're like, this is fucking dope. Horrible consequences, though, should Matt Damon lose this duel. Would you like to know more?
I mean, if he loses, what does Adam Driver get his wife?
No. Ultimately, Adam Driver, assuming Adam Driver doesn't get maimed or killed or whatever, Adam Driver can just go away, and he has proven his innocence that he is not a rapist. But Matt Damon, if he loses, he dies. And then if Matt Damon loses and dies, they immediately burn Jodie Comer right there in the arena in front of everybody. Like, she's just on this platform, and they got leg shackles on her.
But why is that? Why is that a thing?
Because she is challenging the nobility of a squire to the king's army. She is saying that a man raped her, and everyone's like, but ultimately we get the Ric Flair answer, like, this is my guy. I know he never has to rape anyone. Have you seen this guy? This Adam Driver, baby. Look at his hair. Look at him. All right. He's not a rapist. It literally comes down to things like that. We get ridiculous court scenes where they're like, so do you enjoy having sex with your husband, Matt Damon? And she's like, the real answer is no. But because they're still trying to keep up appearance, she's like, of course I enjoy having sex with my husband. And yes, he always makes me orgasm. And he's like,
Matt Damon,
everyone knows you've been trying to get pregnant for the last 5 years, and because you haven't gotten pregnant, we all now suspect that he doesn't make you come. This is like, you're literally dealing with logic like that. The point, like, that's just science. That's literally a quote. Like, that's just science, okay?
It's science. Because obviously, so how long do you reckon that whole thing was? Oh, if you accuse me of doing this, let's duel, and if I win, that proves I'm innocent. So that doesn't. How does that work? That just means you're good at dueling.
That does come up at one point. Matt Damon finally gets his audience with the king. That's the guy above Ben Affleck, and he's like, "Yo, what you're suggesting has been illegal for like decades." And sure enough, his right hand is like, "Actually, your king, we just haven't done it for decades because this is it's kind of a fucked up situation, bro. Like, a woman might be burned in front of thousands of people. Like, we've kind of evolved past this in 20 years." But they're like, Matt Damon's like, "Yo, man, I'm ready to put this on the line. I'm ready to put my life on the line. I'm ready to put my wife's life on the line. Like, fuck Adam Driver and everything else." Okay, like,
did you see him in the Star Wars movies? Fuck that guy. I want to kill him.
And it gets
meanwhile, Ben Affleck's like a bad man.
Ultimately, justice is defined by not the fact that Jodie Comer was raped. It's defined by the fact that Matt Damon's property, Matt Damon's wife, was still raped, but they used a different word for it, like just abused or battered or whatever. They try to use rape as little as possible when it gets to this. And then we get, fascinating conversations between the wife and Matt Damon's mom, who's just a bitch the whole time. And she's like, you couldn't just let this go. Like, women get raped. That's what happens. That's the 14th century. We just get raped. I got raped. All right, and you don't see me bitching about it. Like, our armies, when we plunder the fields, they rape the village women. Or you don't see them complaining about it. And it's just like, whoa, this is actually probably a conversation that did happen. I think people will have a problem with the length of time. I think people will try and have a problem. No one uses a French accent in this, by the way, nor should they. Of course, because if it was that serious, they would just be speaking French, and obviously none of these people speak French. So it's you're hearing Matt Damon go like, "Hey, Adam Driver fucking raped my wife. Okay, that's wicked bad. All right, I don't like that whatsoever. You can't just let Adam Driver rape my wife." All right, and meanwhile, Adam Driver is like, "Why would I ever rape anybody's wife?" Again, it's just they're just using their normal voices.
Don't talk like this. Bonjour, I'm going to. You don't rape my wife.
So, I'm giving this movie 4 out of 5 stars. It's definitely trying to swing for the fences with little gold trophies in March next year. I believe this movie was supposed to come out in 2020, which is, that's an old story we hear. Here's why: because in 5 weeks we're getting another Ridley Scott movie starring Adam Driver.
Aliens Part 7.
No, based on the Gucci family.
I don't give a fuck about that.
You may, though.
No.
Okay, then you don't have to see it.
That's
coming out in 5 weeks. The House of Gucci. Another Ridley Scott movie
about people to make bags. I don't want to movie about people to make bags.
All right, then don't go see it.
I won't.
All right.
I won't.
All right. Fine.
And you can't make me.
Don't then. I won't. You're all the way in New Jersey. I don't know how to do that anyway.
Whatever. I hate you. You're not my real dad.
Not with that attitude.
Oh, yeah, bro. So wait.
Last Duel, fucking dope. 4 out of 5.
5. 4 out of 5 waffles.
Very strong 4 out of 5. Again, a little long. Otherwise, I enjoyed it a lot.
A little long, a little rapey.
Very rapey. It's actually very rapey.
Very rapey. So if you're into that kind of thing, Philip up your bootifs, as they used to say in the 15th century. Maybe.
I don't know.
I wasn't around. I'm making it up. I'm just guessing. I'm just retelling. Cool. Well, check it out. If you haven't check it out. 4 out of 5.
It's, again, it's long. It's independent. People don't like Matt Damon right now. Expect to find it on your VOD platforms for rent at a reasonable price, in about a month.
Why don't people like Matt? Is people still hating on Matt Damon because he's just only realized he can't use the F word?
Yes, and I mean he always says something, and then people just jump on him about it. And he's been dealing with this since that movie about the Great Wall, that science fiction movie about the Great Wall of China and the giant demon dragons. People are mad at him have been mad at him about that, and he didn't make the movie; he just starred in it. So,
do you know what I do love? I do love the Matt Damon F word story. It's one of my favorite stories ever.
Interesting.
Because
you want to expand on that?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Maybe I should say no. That's it. That's the end of the episode. Goodbye. Thank you for joining us. No, but it was just literally reading his quote word for word. But basically, I'm paraphrasing, but it was basically, yeah. I was just. Is he from Boston, or am I thinking? I was thinking of someone else.
He's definitely from Massachusetts.
So I was just sitting home, and I said I called someone a F word, and my daughter was like, "You can't use that. You can't use that word anymore. It's a bad word. We don't call people that." And so I was like, "Oh my God, my daughter, she just taught me this important lesson. I can't say the F word anymore." And then people were like, Wait, you use the F word around your daughter, and then he was like, "What? No. I mean, what? No, I didn't say that. No, I mean, I did it in a movie once, I think. So, what? You fucked up, pal. You fucked up."
It'd probably be just best if he doesn't do too many interviews anymore. It's a weird situation. Again, I think he got way more flack than he needed. But yeah, at some point, you eventually just want to lose interest in Twitter, bro. Yeah.
Have you sent pictures of your bones to anyone lately?
Not yet. Why? You need one?
Or is it just Outback? You still send them to Outback?
Dig it.
Dig it. Diggity dog. Anything else in your mind this week? Kush.
No, that's about it, man. I'm getting ready to we got the newest microdose coming out this week. Friends of yours from the United Kingdom will be on. James Marshall from the Where Nobody Knows Your Name podcast.
I think we used to be neighbors.
Yeah, man. Troy Anthony Grant is going to come on. We're going to talk about a little Cheers. We're going to talk about a lot of pro wrestling. That's coming out this Friday. And then next week,
pro wrestling about?
I'm sorry?
Who's someone pro wrestling with?
Troy Anthony Grant.
Why aren't they invited to this conversation?
Well, because you don't know everybody from the UK, Mike.
Well, I like talking about wrestling.
Remember we had that conversation? I was like, hey, man, you might know these guys. You'd be like, I don't know all these guys.
But you didn't tell me you was going to talk about wrestling.
I didn't know it was going to be as big of a thing. I thought we were going to talk a lot about Cheers. But, yeah, we talk it's a show's nearly an hour long right now. So just whittling it down. But it's a lot of pro wrestling talk. It's a fun episode. Episode 89, that's coming out this Friday on the Bosnet.family. And, of course, your YouTubes and your Spotifys and your Stitchers, blah, blah, blah.
And your Napsters.
And your Napsters.
LimeWire.
I'm definitely looking excited to next week's Waffle Box, Mike, where I'll be on location in Southern California in La La Land, helping co-host, master, director Len Kabaczynski on one of his next movies. That's what I'm going to LA for next week, and that's where I'll be reporting to you from the Waffle Box.
Are you going to bring him on the show?
No. I'm going to try and get a microdose with him in, but otherwise, no, just be me and hopefully a nice view.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice.
Speaking of professional wrestling in the expanding Waffleverse, as we are, if anyone is watching or listening and you're interested in professional wrestling and want to hear more, check out my little, side project or spin-off that
Side
works.
Project. Spin-off project. Is good too.
Waffle Slam. Go to Twitter at Waffle Slam, and now also at waffleslam.com. I bought waffleslam.com. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but I was drunk one night and I bought it. So there you go. Maybe I'll make some videos on YouTube, on the old YouTubes, talk about wrestling. Who knows? But yeah, so make sure you follow that at Waffle Slam, at WaffleboxPod, at Mr. Mike Fish, at Kush_Hayes, at Bossnet/_ family, maybe. No, the Bossnet brand. Bossnet brand.
Bossnet brand. Yeah,
boom.
Good.
It came to me in the end. Check us all out. So that's lovely. Lovely stuff. What a nice episode that was today. We talked about frying testicles, rape, and all things in between. What a family wholesome episode. It was nice, wasn't it?
Like that.
It was good.
Syrup Squad approves. That's why Waffle Box is the best part of Wednesdays.
Indeed. If you want to suggest, if you see any news articles or anything that catches your eye and you want to hear us discuss it, make sure you either tweet us at WaffleboxPod or email it enjoywafflebox@gmail.com. But for me, Mike Fish, and him,
Kush Hayes.
I always get the mirroring wrong. Kush Hayes, right over there. But thanks for joining us. Bye until next week. Take care of yourselves and each other.